Hi, and welcome back to You Can Cook Anything with Bob and JP. I'm JP, and today I'm going to bring to you a dish that highlights one of the great foods of southeastern Massachusetts, sea scallops. New Bedford, Massachusetts is a fishing port, and it's the highest value fishing port in the United States of America. And that's largely because of the scallop fishing industry there. Today I've got 2 pounds of fresh off the boat sea scallops. They deserve some extra special attention, and they're going to get it because they're going to be the centerpiece of a spicy Italian-American fish stew. A secret shortcut makes this fish stew a little bit easier than usual, so stick around and find out what that is. Let's get started. I first had Cioppino in San Francisco, where folks cook it with a mix of crabs and mussels, pretty much whatever comes off the boat. They sop it up with sourdough bread, which is delicious. This version can also be made with whatever fish you've gotten from your seafood market, but nothing beats scallops here. Now, the first step of every recipe is to prep the ingredients. You're going to dice some onions, mince some garlic, chop both bell peppers, and jalapenos. These will all make their appearances later on. I'll put a link in the description to the recipe with all the amounts and instructions. As you can tell from the title, I'm using an Instant Pot today, but you can just as easily make this in a regular stock pot. Set your Instant Pot to saute. Once it's hot, add the olive oil. Then saute the onions until they're softened. Add garlic and saute the garlic briefly. Add the bell peppers, which have been cut into about 1/2 inch or so pieces. You want them large so that you can see the beautiful red and green peppers in the stew. Toss in your dried oregano. Saute that briefly just to bring it up to temperature. Add minced jalapenos. You're going to mince those jalapenos with the seeds and ribs and all, unless you don't want much heat. You can reduce the heat by removing the ribs and not using the seeds, or you can only use 1 jalapeno, or maybe you can skip the jalapenos altogether. You can always adjust the heat to add more heat at the end by using your favorite hot sauce. But I like the flavor of fresh jalapenos. Add tomato paste and saute until the vegetables are soft and the entire mixture deepens in color. The tomato paste is going to burn here unless you keep it moving, so make sure you stir it frequently and look for it to become a kind of brick red color. I find it's easier to achieve that deep coloring on a gas stovetop. If you've gone 5 minutes and you don't think the color has deepened enough, I think it's okay to move on. Add the wine and continue to cook. As the wine boils off a little bit, the base will begin to thicken and it might even become syrupy. Season it with fresh ground pepper. Now, here's the first part of that secret shortcut I mentioned earlier. It's clam juice. Usually for a stew like this, you'd need a seafood stock. Clam juice makes a great substitute for that, and you can have it in your cupboard instead of having to boil fish heads and frames if you don't have access to those things like I usually don't. I'm also going to boost the flavor with some fish sauce. This is the first time I'm doing that and it worked great. Use the best kind, the kind with only 2 ingredients, fish and salt. Add diced tomatoes and return it to a boil. Now put the lid on your pot and set it to high pressure for 5 minutes. That's still going to take a little while to go through its pressure cycle, so figure out if you've got any linguine in the house. I didn't, so I had to do this. But dried linguine is fine too. The pressure cycle is done. Great! Release the pressure. Watch out for that steam. This is your stew base. It can actually be cooled, refrigerated, and even frozen at this point. Then you can make it ahead of time and just heat it back up to boiling once you've gotten your fresh seafood in the house. Now is a good time to taste and adjust the flavors of your Cioppino base. It's probably going to need salt, and maybe somewhere along the line here you might want to give it another few hits of fish sauce. You can also continue to cook it down in case you want it thicker. With your Cioppino base at a boil, and just a few minutes before you want to serve dinner, add the scallops. Go ahead and add the parsley too, even if you forgot to prep it before. Toss in some dried basil. The scallops will cook quickly. Do not, under any circumstances, overcook them. It should take about 5 minutes for sea scallops to cook through. If you let them go too long, they'll become rubbery, which will be horrible. When the scallops are done to your liking, serve, preferably over fresh linguine if you had to make that because you didn't feel like going to the store again. Bonus points if you also have some sourdough to serve it with, but that's another video for another time. Well, there you have it. Instant pot scallop Cioppino. I really like this dish for its bell pepper flavor. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, which really keeps you awake. And I think if you try this, you'll really enjoy it. Remember that base can be used with any sort of fish. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, remember to click the like button. And if you want to get notified when we make other videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe. Remember what Bob and I always say. You can cook anything.